Hello and welcome to Aslan Live. First of all, unfortunately, Turkey lost the Eurobasket final, but congratulations to the whole team for a fantastic tournament. In this episode, we're going to talk about the Eyüp game, where Galatasaray won 2-0. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe, drop a like, and comments down below what you think about the game. Let's get started. I think we all knew that it was going to be a tough game. It came right after the international break. Players coming back from South America, Africa, the Turkish players played a really tough game against Spain, and so on. It was a relatively early game at the Atatürk Olympic Stadium and a Champions League match coming up next week. So the most important thing here was to get 3 points and avoid injuries. Just look at Liverpool, for example. They barely won against Burnley. So we know that these types of games are really difficult. This was our starting 11, and I think for many it was surprisingly that Icardi started. And visually, it looked like Icardi was, the main problem in the press. But after watching the game closely, especially in the first half, the biggest problem, I think, one of the biggest problem, was actually İlkay Gündoğan in the press. Because when he pressed the goalkeeper, he didn't think about the center back. So when he pressed the goalkeeper and their goalkeeper played to their center midfielder, they could easily play back to the center back and it was totally open. One thing Icardi and Osimhen is really good on is to press the goalkeeper, but at the same time taking out that center back, so he's no option. So what's happening then is that when the opponent's center midfielder are getting the ball in their feet, they have no players to play to. So they will easily make these mistakes where, for example, Torreira takes the ball or other players are winning it or they doing mistakes. But İlkay still needs time to learn this. And we know that Gabriel Sara also struggled with this. And Gabriel Sara, first of all, I think he's struggling a lot to find his place in the team. He knows his position is really under threat, and I think that it makes him a bit stressed because he know that either he will be benched or he will get subbed out. I think that's in his mind. And Gabriel Sara struggles a lot in the position he's playing right now, especially against teams that are in low blocks. Because in the final third, he's not so good in the tight spaces. And he doesn't have that explosiveness to get out of his marker, to get that extra meter. So he always get the ball in tough positions and either loses it, getting a bad touch or whatever. He really struggles. And unfortunately, I think that is something that are building up and making his confidence worse. So I think in these types of game he should play a bit lower or go wider, for example. Going in the back three to help there, going wider, where he gets a bit more space. Because he is not that type, who is between the lines and getting the ball good in the small, tight places. And because I think when he can play in that position is, for example, against Fenerbahce. We remember that cup game away last season where he played as, attacking midfielder or, you know, left central midfielder or right central midfielder where he was in the lines because they are giving more space, for example, Fenerbahce, and he can run in those spaces. Then he's actually good. We remember that fake skill he did against Amrabat, for example. that run he took from the deep and had so much space. He doesn't get that kind of space against teams like Eyüpspor, who is giving 1 meter from their defensive line to their midfielder line. Um, so I think he needs to go a bit more wider, not always go in that room, because for me right now he doesn't clearly know what to do either. He's trying his absolute best, I think. He's so loyal, but at the same time he's really struggling, and I don't think he's showing his best anywhere near. So we can talk about Ilkay also, who debuted. I think he played okay. He still needs to learn, in the pressing style, how we are pressing with the ball. But it was at the same time really difficult for the midfielder players, because I want to talk a little about Leroy Sané and also Yunus. Yunus tried in the first half. That's okay. The thing about Leroy Sané for me is that many are talking about him right now, that he was, he needs to be better, blah blah blah. And yes, he does need to get better. I think it was worst against Rize for sure. He was a bit better in this game, not anywhere near where I expect him to be. But what I don't understand with players like Yunus and Sané, both of them are really fast, yet they barely make those runs behind the defense. Like coincidence, I watched Galatasaray's goals from the last season on YouTube, and Yunus Akgün, he was almost involved in 50% of the goals, I think. If he was not, had assist or goal, he was the, the assist of the assist, or he was always involved in the offensive. But then he made most of those runs also. I don't remember exactly what team that was against, when I think it was Gabriel Sara who played the long ball behind the defense to Yunus, where he chipped it over the goalkeeper. They need to make more of those runs. Because when Barış came in, we talk about him also. When he came in, the whole game changed because of that. And Leroy Sané and Yunus Akgün is really fast players also. So they need to make more of those runs and be closer to Icardi. Because also again, when Barış Alper came in, he was so close to Icardi. So Icardi can sometimes drop, and I would talk more about that. Or let's talk about that right now, because when Icardi sees that, he was the guy who crossed to Barış Alper when he headed it, for example. So we need players closer to him. Yes, they can be wide, but they also need to make those runs. And I barely see both Yunus and Sané are doing that, yet they are so fast. But before we talk about Barış Alper, I want to talk about Sallai also. For me, he was the man of the match. I think also Torreira played a good game. He saved us so many times. But Sallai, he won those 1 versus 1 duels. If he had got dribbled past, Eyüp could have created some big chances. And I think in modern football right now, the fullbacks and the wingers are extremely important. It probably has always been that, but I think nowadays, because if you think about it, in the middle, it's always so tight. You have a defensive line who's always pressing you, who is always aggressive. For example, Eyüp was good at that also. They gave us little space in the final third. Therefore, it's always much space wide. And it's so easy. We don't need to complicate this. If Salah is winning the ball when they try to dribble him, you are starting a new attack. It's so simple because the opposite with Barış Alper is that when he's dribbling past a player, Eyüpspor need their whole team need to get back in the defense, and um, you get that confidence in your whole team that you're creating something, that you are better than the other team. But Salah, yeah, I think he won those 1 versus 1 duels. That was so important. He was not the best with the ball or anything. I don't think he played like an extremely good game, but for me, no one in the Galatasaray team did that. But I think Sallai was the man of the match for me in this game, and he has actually played really good in. He has had a really good start with Galatasaray. But we need to talk about Barış Alper also, because what I really think with him, after the first minute when he came in, he took a run. He went inside with Icardi, took a run, created a lot of space on the wide where Eren got the ball, for example. So he's just making space for everybody. And when he gets the ball, he's not afraid. He's dribbling. He's trying to shoot. He's trying to create something. Barış Alper. So I just wish that, for example, Sané would have done more of that and used his power a bit more. Not only his technique, but also his power. It's so important. And as you see here, Barış Alper, he was in 9 duels where he won 7 of them. He just, I think he played around 30 minutes. It's just insane if you ask me. That these things are like the stats you see from a whole game. He did it in you know 30 minutes. It's just he was so wild. It was like you had locked the animal for days and you just put him free, a lion, because Barış Alper wanted so much to score. I think he had planned some kind of celebration or something. It's probably been tough weeks for him. All the narrative in the media, how he has acted. He's still a young guy. He's 25 years old, and I don't accept anything of what he did, but everybody does mistakes, and he wanted so much to score. At one position, he should, of course, have passed to Ahmet Kuducu. But in overall, Barış Alper, I think he changed the game. He was just a beast up front and destroyed Eyüp's defenders straight away. So when you're a winger that are, in a position where he's just hitting the woodwork, it does something with Eyüp's heads and Galatasaray's heads. Like, okay, we are attacking now. Okay, we are close now. Shooting, and it hits a defender. It goes to a corner, for example. Just those types of things. In the first half, the one chance we created where Gabriel Sara played to Eren Elmalı and he crossed to Sané, for example. It was just one pass behind the defense line. We need more of that. I get that Eren and Sallai is part of that plan, but you also need, look when Barış Alper is doing it. We also need, for example, Yunus and Sané to do those things. Sané has exceptional movements. We saw that, for example, in the FIFA Club World Cup with Bayern München. He came alone with the goalkeeper so many times. We need to see it in Galatasaray also. We don't need both of them to always meet and get the ball and try these combinations. Yes, that is good also, but against that type of defensive teams, it's almost impossible to break that, and you will give away counterattacks all the time. So I think that's just important that those types of player are are doing these things. And also, I want to quickly talk about the again, the Turkish media. It annoys me. For those people who are saying, why didn't Kerem Demirbay shoot on the open goal? If you guys remember it, when Uğurcan Çakır went out, passed the ball to Eyüp player, where it seemed like he could have shot from 20, 30 meters. First of all, it wasn't even Kerem Demirbay who got that chance. It was Sesler. Second of all, people saying this probably never touched a football in their life when they are saying, he didn't want to score an open goal. To score from there when his body is positioned like that, and Eren was right behind him, Abdulkerim was blocking him, and Sanchez was running towards the goal. There's simply no way to shoot from there. And people are like, it's corrupt. And they are saying that it's Kerem Demirbay who is doing that. Just come on. It's so annoying to hear these kind of things. I know that I shouldn't care too much. But please use your brain a bit and don't try to fool everybody around you. Don't try to fool those 10-year-old boys who are on Twitter and looking, Kerem Demirbay didn't shoot from there. And yes, Kerem Demirbay went out from the stadium with a Galatasaray store bag. Okay. I didn't want to mention this before the game, where Selçuk Şahin, Eyüpspor's manager, who is always play for Fenerbahçe, who was at their opening ceremony for the academy for Fenerbahçe last week. These things happen in Turkey. Arda Turan, last year when he was coach for Eyüpspor, when he had in his bio only Galatasaray, we all know that Arda Turan, Selçuk Şahin, what team they support. Yes, is it a bit unprofessional? Okay. But wasn't Arda Turan and Eyüpspor one of 3 teams in our stadium last season who got a point from us? So before we talk about these things, it just try to make a bit more empathy and think that it can come back to you if you are talking about these kind of things. So, shouldn't make too much about them either. And here also, it was Metin Oktay's anniversary, the anniversary of Metin Oktay's passing. And, when Icardi scored, fantastic finishing, it just, he is absolutely incredible at that. And kudos to Ahmet Kutucu, who came in and gave that assist. Good run. Fantastic pass by Sallai. Where they gave the, how Metin Oktay's symbol salute. Just something that represent, Galatasaray. So it was nice to see Icardi do it. It was nice to see Barış Alper and Yunus doing it. They did it together on Yunus goal where Barış had assist. So I recommend everybody to see, if you haven't seen the commercial of Metin Oktay with Emre Akbaba many years ago. If you search Emre Akbaba and Metin Oktay on YouTube, it's a fantastic commercial. You should watch it. It's just, so emotional. So, and I think, apart from that, yes, Icardi is not in form. And I'm not trying to say that Icardi was, he was extremely good in the pressure. No, he was not. He got dribbled past a couple of times. for example, against the goalkeeper. But I think that he was so close to the goalkeeper many times. Yes, he got, for example, dribbled past the goalkeeper, but he's there because he's so smart in the pressure. It was not his side that that they actually broke through our press. It was more on İlkay's side. I think that's a bit interesting. But yeah, he's not in form and he needs to get in better form. So we'll have to just wait and see what's happening in the Champions League registration. No, Champions League game against Frankfurt. But we will make an episode about that. So shall we see if we have forgot something? And also a bit about Abdulkerim. I think he also struggled. He's struggling in on against players who are quick, and he did it in this game also. We would get punished against more difficult teams, and in the Champions League, I'm not sure. Singo also. Let's not forget about him. What the athletic player! His bicycle kick, his his defensive action in the last minute. I can't wait to see him more. And also the last thing, my condolence to Uğurcan Çakır, who lost his cousin a couple of days ago. May the cousin rest in peace. And it was probably a really difficult game for him. So we need to give him time also. So yeah, I think that was it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button if you like this, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.